Utopia is an archetype of monsters that were the first set of Xyz monsters to be able to rank up on top of each other. So in this list we'll be going over those cards, plus the archetypes made to support the Utopia monsters. And at number 10, we have number 39 Utopia. Utopia is a rank 4 Xyz monster and only requires generic materials, and has the effect that, when a monster declares an attack, you can detach one material from this card to negate that attack. And if Utopia is attacked while it has no Xyz materials, it destroys itself. So, its effect is pretty lackluster, even if technically useful, with its most useful application probably being its ability to be used with Utopia Double, and Double or Nothing to attack with 10,000 damage. Utopia saw most of its play in the early Xyz era due to having 2500 attack, and because of the low amount of Xyz monsters that were released with the initial wave of Xyz. As Utopia was released in the very first set containing Xyz monsters in the TCG, as the only level 4 Xyz monster. Although in Duel Links when it was released alongside one other level 4 Xyz monster. Now, Utopia is a monster that has definitely been the baseline example of the mechanic of ranking up monsters onto other forms, just like another rank up archetype that was even tier 0 in its prime known as Zodiacs, who, funny enough, probably rank up even better than the Utopia archetype. Utopia in the TCG only ever sees play today as a monster to rank up into its many forms, which lets it take the number 10 spot with ease, because technically you have to play it. And speaking of one of its rank up forms, at number 9 we have Number C39 Utopia Ray. This card basically has the effect to detach material in order to both increase its attack by 500 and decrease the attack of opponent's monster by 1000. You can only use this effect if your life points are lower than 1000, so not a very good card to be honest. However, in Duel Links, the starting life point value is only 4000, so it's much easier to be under 1000 life points in that game. Plus, Utopia Ray's effect is not once per turn, nor does it target. So it's actually pretty valuable over there as an out to untargetable boss monsters, like Lunalight Saber Dancer or Obelisk the Tormentor. Now, Utopia Ray can be brought up by simply ranking it up on top of the normal Utopia, and the reason Utopia Ray saw play in the TCG was very similar to the base form Utopia's reasoning. It was a rank up target to go into in the early Xyz era, along later on being useful to rank up into other Utopia monsters. So, much more useful in Duel Links, kind of just a combo builder in the TCG, which is why it's only the number 9 spot on this list. And at number 8, we have Number S39 Utopia Prime. Utopia Prime's materials are 3 level 4 light monsters, but Utopia Prime also allows it to be ranked up on top of the original Number 39 Utopia, along with having an odd 10 more attack than the original Utopia, technically making it a slight upgrade. This monster effect states that if your opponent has 3000 more life points than you, then you can detach 3 materials from Prime in order to pay all of your life points until you only have 10 life points left, to then destroy every special summon monster your opponent controls, then banish those monsters and deal 300 damage to your opponent for each. Utopia Prime saw most of its play during late 2016, early 2017, mainly in ABC Dragon Buster decks and the occasional Chain Burn decks, due to the burn damage dealt by Utopia Prime. And if you use the second effect of ABC Dragon Buster to tag it out for 3 of its materials, you could go into Utopia Prime due to those 3 monsters being level 4 light monsters. Utopia Prime was used for similar reasons as Utopia Ray, with the distinction that Utopia Prime's effect was at least better than Utopia Ray's due to not requiring you to have 1000 life points remaining, and having 3000 less life points than your opponent wasn't very difficult to obtain. But in reality, it only saw play as a rank up tool to go into one of the stronger Utopia monsters further ahead, similar to Ray. You might be noticing a pattern with most of these Utopia cards. And at number 7, we have Number F0 Utopic Future. Utopic Future is a rank 0 Xyz monster, who is treated as a rank 1 monster, and has the materials for its summoning just being 2 Xyz monsters with the same rank, excluding number monsters. Utopia Future has 0 attack and defense, along with the effect that it cannot be destroyed by battle, and neither player takes any battle damage from any attacks with the card. And after the damage step any monster Utopic Future battled, you can take for yourself until the battle phase ends. And if the card would be destroyed by a card effect, you can detach 1 material from Utopic Future instead. And this was incredibly useful because the ability to steal your opponent's monsters and then use them is a straight +2 in card advantage while it's live, which is good even if it's only temporary. Utopic Future saw a lot of play in late 2016, early 2017, generally in Paleozoic or Burning Abyss decks due to those decks being able to Xyz summon with incredible consistency, so they were almost always able to summon materials for Utopic Future, especially since their main Xyz targets were not number monsters. Utopic Future doesn't see traditional play that much currently, although another monster higher on this list allows him to still see play as a rank up target. And at number 6, we have number 39, Utopia Beyond. This is a rank 6 Xyz monster with generic materials, and if this card is Xyz summoned, the attack of every monster your opponent controls becomes 0. And on either player's turn, you can detach one material from this card to target an Xyz monster you control and one Utopia monster in your graveyard in order to banish the target on the field in order to special summon the target from the graveyard. And then if you do, you gain 1250 life points, which is a unique amount of life points to gain, but this effect overall is pretty niche and not super useful. This monster saw a bit of play in 2017 True Draco decks, and saw plenty of play in virtual decks because they have a lot of level 6 monsters that are easy to summon that Utopia Beyond sees play as an easy summonable way to beat cards like Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, since its effect to reduce monsters to 0 attack does not target and is permanent, as Red Eye's Dark Dragoon is a monster that is usually incredibly difficult to destroy, due to Dragoon having an Omni-Negate and being unable to be targeted or destroyed by card effects, thanks to the effect which activates on summon, lowering Dragoon's attack for Utopia Beyond to destroy it by battle. This monster is one of the few cards which saw play both in older formats and still sees competitive play for its effect on this list, but is only slightly being out in total usage by the next card on this list. And at number 5, we have number S39, Utopia the Lightning. Utopia the Lightning can be raked up on top of a rank 4 Utopia monster you control as the full material, and then it transfers all materials that monster had onto Utopia the Lightning. Although Utopia the Lightning cannot be used as a material for an Xyz summon, and Utopia Lightning's effect is that when it attacks, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. And when this card battles a monster, you can detach 2 of its materials to make the card's attack become 5,000 during the damage calculation. This card saw play because it was great at destroying hard to kill boss monsters, along with being extremely easy to summon, by ranking up the original Utopia into Utopia Prime or Utopia Ray, then ranking those into Utopia the Lightning. You would have a 4 material Utopia the Lightning to destroy almost any monster by battle twice. This monster saw immense play in 2016 and 2017 due to how powerful that effect was, and how easy it was to summon via decks like ABC Dragonbuster and Pendulum Magicians. Any deck capable of summoning 2 level 4 monsters could bring out Lightning with such ease that it was almost an auto-include in every single deck at the time. But it doesn't see as much play today due to the game progressing past the point that you would be unsure if Utopia Lightning could even survive to the battle phase, because of the plethora of spell speed to destruction and negates it'd have to go under in order to get on the field. Along with the fact that it doesn't see much play due to monsters like Borrelsword Dragon and Access Code Talker being just as powerful except lacking the restrictions to only being summonable via level 4 monsters. But even though it's been power crept slightly, Utopia Lightning has saw enough competitive play in the past to land a well-deserved spot to number 5 on this list. And at number 4, we have the first non-Xyz monster on this list, ZS Ascended Sage. Ascended Sage is a level 4 warrior monster with the effect stating, if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And a Utopia Xyz monster which uses this card as a material gains the effect where, on summon, you can add 1 rank up magic normal spell card from your deck to your hand. There are multiple things in this effect that make Ascend Sage extremely strong, from the free special summon from your hand if you control no monsters, to the ability to make this card an Xyz material for any Utopia monster and go +1 from the deck, to Ascended Sage being a warrior with tons of good support. Ascend Sage is directly responsible for 1 card being on the ban list, which will be mentioned later on this list. Level 4 monsters that can special summon themselves from the hand are already super valuable, so one that can also search is even better. And cards that search ZS Ascended Sage segue perfectly into the next card on this list. And at number 3, we have Zexal Construction, a normal spell card and another card directly responsible for a monster being on the ban list. Zexal Construction has the effect where you can reveal 1 other card in your hand, and then you can add 1 of these cards from your deck to your hand. Either a ZS monster, a ZW monster, a Zexal Spell/Trap card, a rank up magic spell card, or a rank down magic spell card. Then you shuffle the card revealed into your deck. Now, what's really strong about this card is how it basically allows you to have anything from the archetype you want in your hand. This card is a -1 in card advantage technically, so it's not a direct trade 1-for-1 like most normal search spell cards, like Reinforcements of the Army, but because it allows you to search so many different types of targets, especially previously unsearchable spell cards, it's actually an incredible consistency boost to the archetype as a whole, especially since it allows you to search out ZS Ascended Sage, who can then go +1 with its effect searching something else out. And at number 2, we have number F0, Utopic Draco Future. This is a rank 1 Xyz monster with 3000 attack, and the materials needed being 3 Xyz monsters with the same rank, but they cannot be Number Xyz monsters. Alternatively, you can summon Utopic Draco Future by ranking up on top of Number F0 Utopic Future, which is the most common way it's summoned today. Utopic Future Draco's effect is that it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and once per turn when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can detach one material from this card to negate the effect. Then, if the monster's effect is negated on the field, you can take that monster to your side of the field permanently. Utopic Draco Future sees most of its play in any deck which can summon multiple Xyz monsters at once in order to summon Utopic Future. Then just rank the base Utopic Future into Utopic Draco Future. The reason Utopic Draco Future sees so much play is both because of it being immune to being destroyed by battle and card effects, and just having an extremely powerful Omni Negate, which allows you to steal the monster negates permanently to use as link materials, or to use for any other reason, since unlike other cards like Brain Control, Utopic Futures allows you to keep that monster beyond just your end phase. Utopic Draco Future is also strong for having non-conventional ways to remove things, like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. And since it comes out with 3 materials, you have 3 negates for 3 turns basically set and good to go. Utopic Future Draco is one powerful boss monster for so many different reasons, but the next card on this list just slightly beats it out. In a number 1 spot, we have Number S0, Utopic Zexal. Utopic Zexal is a rank 0 Xyz monster whose materials are 3 Number Xyz monsters of the same rank. Alternatively, you can summon this card by just discarding a rank up magic normal spell card in order to rank it up on top of any Utopia monster you control. It also has the effect where the Xyz summon of this card cannot be negated by cards, like Solemn Strike, as when it's Xyz summoned, your opponent cannot activate any cards or effects at all. Utopic Zexal has 0 attack and defense, but for each Xyz material attached to it, it gains 1000 attack and defense, along with the ability to, once per turn, during your opponent's turn, remove 1 Xyz material from this card in order to make it so your opponent's not able to activate any card effects for that turn, which not only stops everything your opponent could do, but also due to the 1000 attack gains per material, Utopic Zexal will almost always have 2000 to 3000 attack after it uses its effect, meaning your opponent has almost no way of destroying it by battle when blocked out of card effects for a turn. Utopic Zexal was both incredibly powerful for its ability to just stop your opponent from playing for a turn, but also insanely easy to summon thanks to cards like Numeron Calling, which allowed you to, if Numeron Network was on the field, summon 4 Numeron Gate Xyz monsters with different names from your extra deck. And all of the Numeron Gate Xyz monsters were number monsters of the same rank, which allows you to summon Utopic Zexal with 1 card from your hand due to Numeron Network's effect, allowing you to activate Numeron Calling from your deck. And the only requirement was having no monsters on your side of the field. Surprisingly, this combo is not what got Utopic Zexal banned, and in fact, it was hardly used competitively at all. ZS Ascended Sage and Zexal Construction are the reasons Utopic Zexal currently holds a place on the ban list. As previously mentioned, Ascend Sage allows you to search out a rank up magic normal spell card from your deck if it's used for the Xyz summon of a Utopia monster, along with Zexal Construction allowing you to add a rank up magic normal spell card from your deck to your hand. Or add ZS Ascended Sage, which allowed you to rank up any Utopic monster into a Utopic Zexal immediately. Utopic Zexal was always an incredibly powerful monster, balanced by the difficulty required to summon it, since searching out rank up magic normal spell cards was never easy. Although when Konami created these great support cards for the Utopia archetype, it proved too much and Zexal was banned right before they released both of these cards, in both the OCG and the TCG. Along with Argent Chaos Force being taken off the ban list in the TCG at the same time Utopic Zexal was added, since it was only banned for its interactions with Utopic Zexal in the first place. Alright, and that's the list. If there's any other Utopia cards that should have definitely been on this list that I didn't talk about, or if you have ideas for future videos just like this one, I'd love to hear about them down in the comments.